Welcome to the show that explores the methods and strategies on rocking the financial side of your music business. With over 40 years combined experience, here are your hosts, Chris Webb and Dave Tampkin.
Welcome to Musicians Tip Jar, where we talk about musicians and money. Where we remind each other, and all of you, to push through when times get tough. I'm Chris Webb, joined by my co-host, and the guy who also pushes ice baths onto me, Dave Tampkin.
Well, better than pushing you into ice baths. That's not fun.
It's like Gatorade for the 40-year-olds.
You're like 40, 30-year-olds.
Well, today we complete our interview with head of U.S. marketing at ONErpm, Jenna LoMonaco. We discuss common mistakes of musicians trying to gain traction on their socials, what sets record labels apart, as well as some predictions on what might be the next big thing in this industry. Today's quote comes from our guest Jenna. She said, "There are a lot of ways for artists to make a real good living and have a strong following base and do what they love on a consistent basis, still taking care of their families and living a good life doing what they love."
That could have been your quote too, easily. You say that all the time.
That's why it spoke to me.
This week's nonprofit is New York Music Institute. It's a community-focused organization that strives to provide opportunities and offer inspiration for those in our diverse community seeking to achieve a deep appreciation for music. They provide a space for people of all ages, backgrounds, and levels of experience to learn about music and other parallel arts. It is the expressed desire of NYMI to not discriminate towards anyone on the basis of race, creed, age, gender, color, sex, or sexual orientation, ethnicity, nationality, ethnic origin, gender identity, disability, or family income levels. All of its employment, admission, and financial aid programming and policies will work towards being discrimination-free. Please learn more at newyorkmusicinstitute.org. If you find this information useful, please rate and subscribe to the podcast, and also slam that like button if you're on YouTube so we can help keep you up on the finance side of your music business.
Jenna LoMonaco is a digital marketing expert who used her love of music and knowledge in the social media space to help break up-and-coming artists into the mainstream music for over 20 years. After studying audio production and working at a record studio straight out of college, she truly started her career at PR at Girly Action in 2005. In 2007, Jenna got her first big role at an up-and-coming record label, Glassnote Records, as the head of new media. It was there where she blossomed her skills in the digital space, helping break artists such as Mumford & Sons, Phoenix, and Childish Gambino. After 5 years at Glassnote, she left to join a new label service branch, Cobalt Label Services. Jenna worked in the digital department where she handled digital strategy for artists such as Martina McBride, Lenny Kravitz, and New Kids on the Block. In 2015, as Island Records was relaunched as a solo label after separating from Def Jam, Jenna joined the Island team to run the digital marketing department. It was here that she began to work with newly signed teen artist Shawn Mendes. Using her social media knowledge, she helped create a social media strategy to help grow Shawn's social following into the multi-millions. She also led the digital marketing effort for artists such as Nick Jonas, The Killers, Elton John, Bon Jovi, Fall Out Boy, and Demi Lovato. Jenna has now joined the ONErpm team, heading up the U.S. marketing team, where she oversees all marketing, DSP, advertising, and digital marketing strategy. When it really comes down to it here, there are such important differences between record labels with how they function, what they offer, and the general culture within. There's so many insights crammed into our second half of this interview with Jenna. So let's go.
What are some mistakes you see artists do?
I think that being disingenuous and just sort of posting to post, I think you get into trouble then. I think there's a learning process, where sometimes artists are like, I really want to be good at social media. I just don't know how. And so something that I see often is they'll start posting and they'll start getting a little bit of pickup, and then you start to see a little bit of a decline, and then they're like, nope, never mind, it's not working anymore. And consistency really is key, and you have to push through that lull. And I think that's the biggest mistake that I see is when they start to get their job, they immediately assume that they've been shadow banned. And then they don't push through that lull. And I think, just staying the course is really important.
What's funny about that too is sometimes it's because we're also, as artists, I think, growing and changing. And it's like you go through these moods where like you don't feel like doing it anymore. And you talked about that consistency. That is so hard to show up to when it starts looking like it's going down and you just feel like not doing it. Like the two go together so harsh against you and you're just like, forget it. This isn't working.
I know it's hard, and it's like it sucks for artists, honestly, because it's like back in the day, nobody had to care about this, right? It's like a whole new layer of being an artist that didn't exist years ago. And just because you make music doesn't mean you enjoy making content, and making content's hard. It's a lot of work. You have to always be thinking about it. Like, it's a very big lean in. I also say, like, don't be afraid to get somebody to help you. It needs to come, the content needs to be yours, but maybe you could get somebody to help you with editing, or you can have a friend that just reminds you, like, hey, this is a good moment to film, or like, just having people around you to encourage you. I also find that artists who have content days, like every Wednesday from 2 to 4, I am shooting content, and I've seen some artists do really well with that. I think it just like puts you in, because like I know for me, I need to be like mentally prepared to do certain things. So I feel like when you're like mentally like, okay, this is my time to do it, sometimes that's really helpful.
I love that.
I'm going to write that down now. Chris, we're going to have to cancel some stuff we have going on. I want to move into ONErpm and the future of music, in your opinion. It is no surprise to us after 20 years of your experience in your career that you're now the head of marketing at ONErpm. You lead a global team across 43 offices and studios. Can you tell us about ONErpm's mission and how you set yourself aside in the industry as something unique?
Yeah, so I think that, first of all, something that sets us apart is we are 100% self-owned. So Emmanuel Zan's our president and owner. He is the sole owner of our company, which means we do not rely on any major label support, or we don't answer to any major label when it comes to the rules. And so that offers us a lot of flexibility and allows us to really be transparent and just more flexible in general. Aside from just how we're structured, the other point is, so our deals are not like, there are no two artist deals that are ever the same. We really build out our artist deals to make sure that they fully function for the artist and what it is that they're trying to achieve. So we were originally known as a DIY distributor. But as the years went on, and when I joined the team in the US, we really started to build up our marketing capabilities. And so we really have all of the services that you would get at a major label other than PR and radio, and we hire out by design for those things. So if you're an artist and you come to us and you can say to us, all I'm really looking for is like DSP pitching and advertising, and we can do that for you. Or you can come to us and say, like, I want a full team. I want the whole thing. And we can do that also. And what your deal is structured like will be reflected upon what those needs that you have. Also, our advances and our marketing funds are realistic in the sense that you can recoup. We want you to recoup quickly. We want you to make money on your music very quickly. We can always renegotiate a deal to add more money in, but we don't like to give an artist, there are a lot of labels right now that are throwing like millions of dollars at an artist. And the issue with that is then you might never make money on that ever again, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas we offer what we believe is an achievable amount of money to recoup. And then you are able to then make money on that music, and we can like restart what that looks like. Everything that we do is meant to be really fair to the artists and allow them to be more in control of what their fate looks like.
It's fantastic. You don't hear that every day.
Yeah. And that's really what sets us apart.
You also have proprietary technology as well, don't you?
Correct, yes. So we have our own CMS backends where all of our project managers, all of our specialists, everybody works out of this one system. So if you are an artist or a manager that works with us and at 2:00 in the morning you wake up and you think, oh my God, did that advertising campaign ever happen? You can sign onto your account and you'll see that the ad campaign launched on this day at this time. And you can see everything that we're doing. And so it's full transparency. You can see what has happened, what hasn't happened. And it really allows for this like open line of communication. We also though have like a lot of one-on-one conversation with all of our artist teams. It's not relying on just that system alone. We are in constant communication with our artists, and that's feedback that we get a lot, that like they find that our team talks and communicates with artist teams a lot more than our competitors.
That has to help musicians have some insight, like you said, to the back end of the business side of things. So then they could understand what you're talking about and what goes into all those campaigns, which
Absolutely.
some musicians might not have that access.
Yeah, and we're here to educate too. The team here is absolutely incredible, and they really work to, because we're working with the artists in tandem, right? Like, we're never saying like, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what your marketing plan is. Marketing plans on every front is we work out budget and how we're going to allocate that budget and what the strategy is with the artist team. And so they're fully tied into everything, because I think nowadays more than ever, because of the way that social media is and that artists need to be more business savvy, they're entrepreneurs, right? And it's almost disrespectful to treat them otherwise. Like, they need to be involved with those decisions, and that's not something that I've seen prior before working here.
I think that would also set you up with more success and less time having to handhold a musician than it is when you're educating them along the way.
Right. No, 100%, because it's not just, this is how it works, and then you're going to hope for the best. It's a constant conversation,
Do you ever work with artists that are more like purposefully outside of the mainstream? Like the ones that, I think of bands like Dave Matthews Band or artists that are like, I mean, they may have had some success into the mainstream, but they really live outside of that zone. Like, is their marketing strategies very different in your approach with them?
I think that you throw less money. I think when you're trying to be more like mainstream pop, you have to spend more money more aggressively, right? So the thing that I always talk about is what I realized when I first came to ONErpm is my idea of what success for an artist meant was really skewed, right? Yeah. When you come from the major legal world, if an artist or a song is not top 5, top 40, it was a flop, right? But there are a lot of ways for artists to make a really good living and have a really strong following base and do what they love on a consistent basis and take care of their families and live a good life doing what they love. And I think that level of success is really overlooked by the wider music industry, but not everybody is going to be the 1%. And how do you validate and really help lift up these artists that have these careers that maybe they're not touring, doing, arena stadium tours, but they have rabid fan bases and their music means a lot to people and they make good money. And I think that is a level of success too that's often overlooked today.
Yeah. I love to hear you say that, because I think there's the majority are in there, right? The majority of artists are in there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And, I mean, I was listening to Ryan Tedder talk the other day, and he's like, it's even hardest that it's ever been for him to get a hit song anymore. Like, he says that what used to be, 1 out of 20 is now 1 out of 1,000 songs that he'll write that gets up there, even with his clout of who he is.
Yeah.
And so it seems like it's not getting easier to get that luck or that success of that hit song.
Yeah.
The other end of that too is I don't see the one hit wonders anymore either. It's like you either get up there and you're sticking around for a little while, or you just don't get there.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And I think right now I kind of feel like we're in this like lull of like, we had TikTok during COVID that kind of like broke through all these different new ways for people to connect and like we were doing lots of live streams and things like that. But as the world has like settled back in, I feel we haven't gotten, I know like, AI is starting to become more prevalent and figuring out ways to use that for marketing. But I don't think there's anything like super exciting right now in the marketing space. And we're on the cusp of something great, which is not there yet.
Do you see a way that artists are going to be able to work together with AI that's going to be friendly?
I mean, that's a tricky one. I don't totally believe in the whole AI artist thing. I think music needs to be tied to human emotion. And so I don't totally love that. But I think that there's ways to use AI for marketing and to be clever and to really be able to like use all of the information that's there for you to aggregate trends for your artist to help you point you in the right direction of where you should be going to connect with your fans. I think it's a tool and not a solution.
Well said. Let's talk about just some advice for aspiring musicians.
Mm-hmm.
So for an independent artist just starting out, what are the most important investments they should make in terms of their music career from your point of view?
Yeah, obviously first music and the production, right? Like obviously that's always first. I think that having a good understanding of who your fans are and like really understanding, where they live, what they connect with, is so important. And I think that it's often overlooked. Like if you have 100 fans, that you can build off of that, right? There's ways that you can grow and build off of that. And that's on you to like really be engaging with them and having them invite their friends to events and, really trying to like galvanize the fans that you do have. I think digital advertising is a good way to start, but it can't just be advertising, right? Because I've seen a lot of artists that'll like just like boost a post and it'll get, 10,000 views on that post, but it didn't really mean anything. I think spending your time and your money on creating content, that is a good use of your investment. And I'm still a big believer in live shows. I think that like that really is a game changer and something oddly overlooked these days, but a live show going on tour is, I don't know, it's just the tried and true way to grow your fan base.
Yeah. It's something AI can't take over either yet, right?
No, no, absolutely not.
AI, like you said, can help you find every room in the state of Illinois that has 100-person capacity.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a perfect example of using it as a really good tool.
Yeah. I'm curious, with all the different countries that your company works with, if you see that these strategies are vastly different depending on the different country and market.
I think that the essence of it is all the same. I think the big thing is culturally understanding how fans work there, right? And that's actually something that we do here is we do what we call these master classes where the teams from different territories will teach the rest of us like what is important culturally in that market, right? Because some markets, they only want to consume music of their language, of that country. Other markets are very hungry for music outside of their territory. And then there's also like, how do you make fans feel loved from other places? So like Australia is a really interesting one where it's very hard to tour, or not, it's very hard to tour in Australia. It's very expensive to get to Australia. So a lot of artists can't get there. So how do you make those fans feel appreciated for being your fan when you really can't get there, right? Like it's an expensive feat. So I think the core of it, connecting with the fans, connecting the music to new listeners, like all of it is the same. It's just the cultural nuances that vary.
Every city is so far away from the next that it's
right
hard to get to.
Well, yeah, and then also I've worked with a lot of artists that have been like, especially like UK artists, they come to the US to go on tour and they're like, what is happening? Because, that it's so big and so vast and it's so overwhelming. So yeah, there's a lot of cultural divides there.
Yeah.
So, thinking about the person that started looking for an internship and going through those liner notes, what if you could offer like one piece of overarching advice to inspiring musician listening to us today? What would it be from that person all the way now from 20 years of experience in your career?
I think that it's about, like I said earlier, consistency. I think really understanding what your goals are. I think too often people just see the end game, right? Like you just want to be a huge track star, right? Like, but there are many steps that you have to take in order to get there. You kind of need to think of it like if you want to play Madison Square Garden, right? You have to play Mercury Lounge first, and then you go to Bowery, and then like you need to take those career steps. And so what I would say is understand what your long-term goal is, but then figure out what those tentpole moments that you have to achieve along the way are. Because that not only is really important to hit those milestones, but it makes it more achievable, right? Because it takes, I think oftentimes people feel like an artist just suddenly gets huge overnight, when in reality, they've all been doing this for years and years and years, right?
Right.
So understanding that it's going to take a while mentally helps you as an artist to say like, okay, well, yeah, I'm not there yet because I still haven't done all of these other things. And that goes back to then also understanding how the music industry works and what are those key tentpoles. And I think that's why it's important to eventually work your way to getting a team. Like that's one of your goal marks, right? Getting a manager, getting an artist team. And an artist team doesn't necessarily need to be, you get signed, again, you get signed to a major label. Like maybe you first start with like getting a manager, and then you get like a marketing person, and you get like a digital person, and then you you sign to some sort of label distributor, somebody that could be part of that climb. But surrounding yourself with people who really understand what those needs are is really important.
It's fantastic.
This is a debate at the university all the time about what is the first person to hire on your team. And it's because I think that there's probably not a right answer, but maybe there's a most common answer, like who's the first person that people tend to really need the help with?
Right. I think some people will say lawyer and some people say manager. I personally think a manager, but make sure you have like a sound deal, and then follow with your lawyer. But I think I would say a manager, but be very careful always, because you think you know people and you think you can trust people, but shitty stuff still happens.
Yeah. Is that the chicken and the egg is the lawyer and the manager?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's tough.
Speaking of which came first, do you think Chris's background came first or the t-shirt that he's wearing? The t-shirt. Chris, where'd your body go? Well, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk with us today. Thank you so much, and just sharing all your expertise, and congratulations on the new addition to your family too.
Thank you.
That's fantastic to hear.
Thank you so much.
How many times have we said that talent might get you in the door, but it won't keep you there? That was one of the first things she talked about, was mistakes musicians make on social media. Talent doesn't guarantee engagement. Strategy does. It definitely helps.
Right.
But like any venue, like any relationship, your talent gets you so far. If you're A, not entertaining, B, not easy to work with, all of those things that come into play. Those comments, I think, help us avoid like time wasters and can help us like build awareness about what we want to convey to people watching our art on social media. And it might not just be playing, singing, or the craft of songwriting, but you might have to make it entertaining as well.
Have you ever seen that movie Yesterday, where
I didn't watch anything? I had a pretty laid back day. Got a lot of yard work done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That movie comes to mind when you talk about how you presenting the songs, because all these ridiculously great Beatles songs were being played by someone who's unknown in the back corner of a bar. And for the most part, nobody cares,
Mm-hmm.
It really does matter how it's presented. And that's kind of also the other end of it. It's not just about your strategy, about your marketing. It's about how you're presenting what you're giving too.
Side said that too, go back and look at your last 10 posts and see what kind of value it brings to the table. Does it have a clear objective?
The other end of that is too, of course, just because you enjoy making music doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you're going to enjoy making that content, right? Making the content is hard, obviously a lot of work. And that can also be something that you have to find a way to push through. She also mentioned don't be afraid to get help on that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely qualified for someone who needs help with social media. And when, she talks about maybe the guilt or shame of not being able to know how to do it. I mean, that guilt or shame also comes with asking help. And you have to overcome that to say, hey, I need help with this. I need a different way of doing things. Otherwise, nothing changes.
That might be where a lot of people just kind of stop in their progress because they get to the point where they just need help, but they don't have the ego, right, to be able to ask for it.
Yeah.
And the other end of that is consistency, right? Whether or not you're being consistent with what it is you're trying to do, because there's going to be those times, like she described, where your socials, your numbers or your results start declining. And that is an easy spot for most people to be like, you know what, this isn't working, forget it. But that's just not how it works.
It's not. And the fact that you might have to feel like you have to do it all now, that can feel like a lot of weight on your shoulders. And maybe setting aside a few hours, one day a week, and then that might grow into a full day is key to having not only consistency, but then also easier to ask for help for only a few hours of a day. And that's repetition like anything else. The way you practice music, the way you write songs, you have to get into a flow to do that. Did she say content sprint? That what she referred to it as? Or maybe that was Megan Burt when she was saying she was raising money for her album, that she said it was easier for her just to do like 2 or 3 days to get everything spread out for the entire like advertising campaign. But batching that does reduce the stress on it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what she finds so unique about ONErpm and what their mission is and how much that was refreshing for us to hear from all the different labels that we've talked to and heard from.
Yeah, they're fighting for the artist. It's like you're teaching them to fish. You're not just giving them fish. So they want you to be successful and be able to do things on your own and build your own career as them as a partner, not just giving you the fish to eat,
Yeah.
I don't know why I had to repeat that.
That's a good analogy. You gotta keep fishing for that one.
Or others.
I mean, I'll take the bait. I think also just talking about not inflating advances, that's a really important part of what we're here to talk about, which is like, how do you handle the money side of this stuff? So often it's become that these large labels are banks, and where they're going to make their money is by loaning you money and expecting you to pay a ton of interest back while you repay that loan. That can be the killer of an artist's career. At least it can create a huge amount of challenge around growing and building a financial successful career. So it really means a lot to hear them talk about, let's make sure that this is what you need, not just some inflated number that's going to make your ego big and your bank account broke.
And how are they measuring that? They're giving you insight to their back end to show you how your numbers are growing. And that's something we teach here, is to look at your numbers on a monetary level to see where the money is going. What's wrong with taking that same thought process and saying, okay, how many new social followers did I have this week? How many t-shirts did I sell? How many people streamed my music? What can I do next week to get even more of that to happen? So having a strong CRM like that is super helpful. And if they've already built one, man, it's just giving you gold.
Yeah. And it makes it easier for all the tracking, like you said, but also the transparency, also the communication gets easier to be specific about what you're talking about. All of that improves, all of that is a part of this process that sometimes can feel super mysterious if you don't have access to that information.
I think they're also taking what they learn from one artist and being able to kind of mold that for different niches, which is nice too, because it's from, I think I do that in my marketing consulting. When I first started 15 years ago doing consulting, I had a music background, for 10 years. And I was able to say, hey, this is what works in the music world, and this is an emotional product. Why not take what I've learned here and bring it over here? So it makes sense when she's like, I don't see too many differences between, say, a country artist and Nine Inch Nails.
That really is from that business mind that she has, right? That understanding that marketing is marketing, right? And these are universal truths. No matter where in the world you are trying to make a dent into an economy or into a market. And that's very powerful to understand. It's just once you understand these skills, you can repeat them, right? And you can do them well no matter what style you're doing. And like we talked about, there's so much room for multi-genre crossover and still finding ways to make it effective for both of the kind of dominating origins of those genres at the same time.
How many times have you heard, all you need is 1,000 true fans? Quite a bit. How many times have you ever heard you need 100 true fans?
Yeah.
Not too often. So it was nice to hear that. It's like, at least it's somewhere to start and feel like you have a goal to hit there. She said, she'd rather have an artist have that than 1,000 passive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, another reason to increase your loyalty, word of mouth support. Do something on Instagram to run a short poll or question box asking fans, what they're interested in, just like we did. Just do something to have that conversation go back and forth.
The more you understand your income streams, the easier you can delegate your time towards these things, right? And if your two main areas are going to be playing shows and releasing music, then both the marketing, obviously, and the outreach on social media is incredibly important. But the other end in which she also supported was live shows, and how important a good live show is, and how important putting that energy and creativity and marketing into live shows can be an effective tool in growing your true fans.
Andy Fresco.
Totally. Yeah, understanding what your goals are and then also fully understanding those steps to get them. It's really helpful to say 100 fans first instead of 1,000 fans, right? It's easier to say, I'm going to sell out 50 tickets at this show instead of going straight to the big stuff. And it seems very logical when we say it out loud, but I don't think people break it down that way. Like she said, you really should start with something that is an achievable goal within a time frame. If you understand that better, you're more likely to achieve it and then be able to move back and grow that what you're going for to a bigger number.
Even when you set up your to-do list for a day, how many times is it so easy to get all the simple stuff out of the way instead of saying, hey, this is first, second, and third top priority. So you have movement throughout your day. You're actually doing something, but is it progress? Do you feel like you're moving forward? So being able to measure that is important with strategy.
And if that strategy goal is to be signed to a label, then looking at all this from that perspective can be really useful, right? What did we talk about that makes someone attractive to a label, right? It's building true fans, right? It's not having a bunch of numbers. That's not what they're looking at, right? They're not stupid. They know the difference between engaged audience and just a bunch of fluff, right? So understanding what it is you need to do to be attractive to them is a part of your job if you're an artist trying to become signed to a label like ONErpm. So our one action step for you this week is to take a hard look at how attractive you are to a label in your current state. If this is something you're interested in achieving as an artist, there needs to be a clear list of what it is that needs to be done to improve what you have to offer in order to achieve this goal. So one way to do that would be to set deadlines on your list of what it is that needs to improve. And I think that our theme of our season has been saying the first place to start nowadays is on your social media and your engagement, in which you can measure how many true fans you actually have. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending this time with us, being a part of this community. It's our hope that you feel that sense of community here at Musicians Tip Jar, and that you'll help spread the word to make us all stronger. Special thanks to our guest, Jenna LoMonaco, for being here with us and giving her time today as well. If you'd like to get a hold of us or Jenna, what's the best way to do that?
Check out musicianstipjar.com for tools, resources, and discounts built specifically to help keep you up on the finance side of your music business. And reach out to us anytime at musicianstipjar@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your story. If the episode resonates with you, share it with a friend, leave a review, or hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube. It helps us grow this community and support more musicians like you. You can also check out more on Jenna at ONErpm.com, and you can find her on LinkedIn at Jenna LoMonaco.
As always, thank you for joining us, and remember, there is already enough for everyone. You just need to know how to get what you want. Until next time, on behalf of Dave Tamkin and myself, Chris Webb, stay happy, healthy, and wealthy. Perhaps the most difficult thing to do is to know yourself, and the second is to share you with the world. This is Musician's Tip Jar.
Oh Lord, I could use somebody. I could use somebody. I could use somebody.
Nothing on this show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, business, or financial professional for individualized advice. Individual results are not guaranteed, and all discussed strategies have the potential for profit or loss. The hosts are operating on behalf of Musician's Tip Jar LLC exclusively.
Could use a little help there. Could use some help.